Welcome, Generation Ziegler community. I want to welcome you to the very first episode of the brand new Gen Z Show. Now, last spring, when COVID started, we began to do weekly live calls through Facebook. We called them our Gen Z community calls. Well, they got so popular after we ended them in June that people were asking for us to continue. So that's how the Gen Z Show was formed. Every week, we're going to bring you guests who are going to inspire, motivate, and encourage you so you can be the leader that you want to be during this time for your generation. But today is something extra special. Today, we're going to bring you a highlight video of some of our best short clips from the spring community calls. Now, short clip. What is that, you might ask? Well, a short clip, or a quick clip as we also call it, is just one little small segment, 5, 6, 7 minutes, of one of our guests answering a question that you, our community, asked them. So today you're going to hear from the likes of Amberley Synder, MMA star Michael Chandler, and Bob Beaudine, author, speaker, and executive search firm head. They're going to share with you some of their best answers to the questions that you asked them, plus along with some other very outstanding special guests as well. So sit back and enjoy the first episode with our Generation Z Show Quick Clips highlight episode. Thank you.
After going 688 days without a win and, beating yourself up left, right, and center. By the way, I got to watch all this, guys. It wasn't fun for me. This is my best friend. He's going through a tough time. I mean, this is his livelihood. This is affecting his family. It's affecting everything. And you guys are going to go through the same things. I can promise you. I wish I could say the opposite, but the truth is life is hard. And, one thing that Zig taught me is the harder you are on yourself, the easier life will be to you. And that's why, it was important not only for Michael to get through those 688 days, but to experience those 688 days of loss, because it brought him to where he's at now. He has a completely different mindset. He's got a different outlook. He's not going to make the same mistakes he made in the past. And we have to remember that as young people, as we go into business or become teachers or what have you. So Michael, give us 2 or 3 kind of practical tips, if you will, of maybe what you did or how you could overcome some of these setbacks, because we're going to deal with setbacks in life. So what would you recommend, or a couple of good ideas are for them?
Number one, and I know I can say this, to this group, because all of the things that Generation Z stands for is extreme accomplishment and extreme significance, but a lot of it and all of it is based on integrity, and it's based on principle, and it's based on humility. And so I know I can say this. As I talked about, I came from that small guy from the small town who was taught to do small things. So I was afraid to be confident in myself for the fear that I would walk into a room and people would feel insecure around me. It's one of the greatest quotes of all time. The Nelson Mandela. We don't fear that we are inadequate. We fear that we are powerful beyond belief. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. And I used to do that. I was so afraid of my light that I would walk into a room and I would cower, and I would do this, and I would be meek, and I would turn the other cheek, and I would be afraid because I don't want people to feel insecure around me. So I think the greatest tip that I can give you is it's okay to love yourself, and it's okay to be proud of yourself, and it is okay to be confident in yourself. That's number one. Number 2, making a mental highlight reel, writing down your 10 greatest accomplishments that you have had over the last X amount of years. Even if it's, hey, I got a 98% on that math test and I thought I was going to get less than a 70%. Even if it's, I gave that person a compliment and he or she reciprocated in this way that made my day better. For me, a lot of it's athletic accomplishments. A lot of it is, things that I have moments in my life where I thought, man, I'm going to not do well here because of X, Y, and Z, and I ended up doing really well. Pat yourself on the back. There is nothing wrong with a good sense of pride when you can close your eyes and think about the things that you have accomplished. And the third thing is to actually visualize. Everything starts right here inside of the mind. And for a guy like myself who actually, fights and need to be able to close my eyes, look down at the canvas and touch the canvas and smell the canvas and feel the lights and hear the people and hear the fans, hear my coaches, hear my cornermen, feel the fight inside my mind before the fight actually happens. So number one, don't be afraid to be confident and be proud of yourself, as long as it's anchored in humility. Number two, making that mental highlight reel. And number three, being able to learn and master the art of visualization. And there is no shortage of literature out there for all three of those things. So go out there and find it.
One of the other things that has really impressed me about your story, and you allude to this a lot as one of the topics you talk about, is perseverance, as well as being able to stay the course and really work through some hard times. These young people, a lot of them are going to encounter obstacles. They're going to encounter setbacks. They're going to encounter troubles and stuff. What kept you going during that time to know that, hey, I got a bigger plan? I see a lot of them nodding their heads in agreement. It's like they're wanting to know, how do I keep going? How do I find that motivation in myself?
That is not always an easy answer. I think that we all struggle with. I'm not going to lie. Yesterday for me was one of those days. Ooh. So if any one of you have been feeling like that lately, that you feel like, oh my gosh, this is just not going the way that I planned. I have felt like that, and yesterday was kind of a breaking point for me. I'll tell you why. I had planned, obviously, we've all been on a break, right? We've all been on COVID. We've been home. I've not been speaking. I've not been able to be rodeoing. Well, there was a really big race. I mean, I'm talking tens of thousands of dollars type race that was in Oklahoma last week. So I have prepared my horse. I've prepared myself in every possible way I can to be there. My horse gets sick on the drive. He ends up with pneumonia, and I don't get to run. Not only do I not get to run, my horse is still in Oklahoma because he wasn't well enough to even come back home with me. So that was happening all week. My little sister's horse got sick too. She colicked. Luckily, we got her better enough that she could she could at least perform and come home. I get home. My mare has the baby yesterday, and we had to take it to the vet because they said it probably wouldn't live through the night. It did live through the night. You want to talk about, holy smokes, I'm just feeling like it's pouring. Oof. That has been me for about a week. And I just get it happens to all of us. So you can't feel like it's just you. I mean, I feel like a lot of people sometimes look at my life and go, wow, everything is so perfect for her and she's got it figured out. And it is not the case. We're all battling something. And so I yesterday was talking to my brother, and I just said, this is just not fair. I just don't understand why I can't get ahead. And so this is what I did. I decided, okay, I had a barrel race last night, not on that one, on a different horse. And I thought, I am going to enjoy this for exactly what it is. I'm not going to go with expectations. I'm not going to go with this has to be the most winningest run we've ever had. But I'm going to enjoy the fact that I get to do what I love to do in that moment. We really didn't do well. This horse is very new. But just that shift in perspective. So I think that's a lot that has to do with perseverance, is sometimes it's just that shift in perspective, because you can spend a lot of time sitting here thinking about how all these things are raining down on you, and they will be, but just for 2 seconds, focus on something different. I've had to do this before. I would think probably one of the most depressed states I've been in was when I was on bed rest for 5 months. And my mom walked into my room one morning, and I told her, today is not my day. She said, that's okay. Tomorrow's going to be. And I've remembered that concept and learned to practice during that, where at least one time a day, I would find something that made me happy and allow myself to feel truly happy through and through. And then I could go back to dealing with the rest of the world. So I think when it comes to perseverance, we're going to have these things that are stressful. We're going to have these things that are overwhelming and not fair and not the way that we plan. At least spend a minute of your day absorbing something happy, whatever it is. Could be a favorite treat. Mine's like stovetop s'mores. It could be a favorite song. It could be somebody you talk to. It could be going to get on my horse. I do that too. And allow yourself to be happy. I mean, through and through, allow yourself. And I think that it just allows you to take a deep breath and say, okay, I'm going to be okay. Let's handle the next thing ahead of us. And I don't know, that's how I'm surviving. I don't know if it's working the best, but I tell you, it's how I'm surviving. So maybe it'll work for you.
How would you suggest just building a community of maybe people that you haven't met yet, or just reaching out to new people and building your community, even though it's hard to go out and like meet people in person now?
Yeah, man, that's a good question. And you know what, right now, I think that's such a bigger question than even you realize maybe when you're asking it, because we need relationship more than ever right now. I mean, our world is hurting for relationship, right? I mean, we all know what's going on in the world, and it's not pretty. And it's because we failed to build relationships across boundaries that have been built up. And so I'd say the biggest thing you can do, and actually if you hear me speak live, I talk a lot about questions and the power of questions. Man, there is nothing more powerful than a good question. And you ask someone and you just wait for the answer. So I'd say figure out what questions you need answered. Say like, hey, how can I help you is a good question. What drives you is a good question. And ask these to people that wouldn't expect it, right? That's kind of a fun thing to do. In my Young Life, I don't know if y'all are familiar with Young Life, but I'm a Young Life leader. Sometimes, or my wrestling team I help coach, I'll ask these young people, I'll just say, hey, and, we'll be at wrestling practice and be like, hey, what do you care about? They'll be like, what? Like the wrestling? Like I just all wrestling? Like, no, come on, really? Like, what do you care about? What do you like to do for fun? Just asking people questions that they're not expecting can open up boundaries can dissolve boundaries that were previously there as far as for building relationships. You'd be very surprised. Just invest in people that way. It doesn't take any money. It doesn't take hardly any time. Just asking good questions. And I'd say there's probably a lot of good research done online about how to build relationships, but I think first step is just asking questions and being open to the answers and not having a rebuttal waiting, but just accepting whatever their answer is because that's who they are.
Well, Dustin, some of these young people, they're still in high school and they may be searching how do I find my why? What kind of tips can you help them, to maybe it's just a why in their life right now in this season of my life. I'm a junior, I'm a senior. Hey, I've not been able to see my classmates now in several months, and I don't know when I may be able to see them again. How can I find what my purpose is in this season of life I am right now? Not even with my bigger purpose, but just this season of life right now. How do I find that why myself?
Well, I'm going to say this one direct, and I hope that if it offends you, I guess it'll offend you. I think most of you will be probably motivated, challenged by it. I wanted to, talk about why purpose today. The second one I want to talk about, and you just asked it, James, how do I really lock into that purpose here and now at where my feet are ground level? And I would tell you the greatest way for you to find your purpose right now, outside of prayer and discernment, is who you are surrounding yourself with. And I like this phrase better. I call it my ride or die group. That's fun. That sounds a little cooler than the who. But my ride or die group is, who are you surrounding yourself with? Who is giving accountability to you in your life? And so let me say this to you. When I say accountability, I'm usually talking about people who might be a little older, wiser, or grayer, or I'm talking about friends that there are no secrets, that they're going to be honest with you, and they're going to walk with you. And I'll give you a couple attributes of the people in my life, the accountability groups that I have, my ride or die group. There's a couple of things that they all have in common. They all love me. They all pray for me. And they're honest with me. And at the end of the day, they're for me. They want to see me be as successful as I can be. And so especially during this time where we're probably not out abundantly making new friends, relationships, I would ask you the question, who is that ride or die group in your life? Who is that accountability in your life? And here's the part that gets fun. If you're saying to me right now, you know, Dustin, I just don't have that, I would tell you it's because you don't want to have it. I say the same thing about friendships. You want to have great friends, you got to be great friends. You want to have great teammates, you got to be a great teammate. And so I would tell you, for me in my life, from 18 to 27, I would have told you, well, I don't really have an accountability group. I don't really have people who are going to take time to invest and walk and mentor and love and be honest with me. The real reason that is I didn't want that. I wanted selfish me to do what I wanted to do. And if there was someone else that may say, hey, we care about you. Hey, we're locking into some of your gifts and talents. We maybe see this avenue for you. If it was in any way in opposition to what I wanted to do, I didn't want to hear it. So I would tell you, when we start thinking about what the man just said, who just talked about the gifts and the talents that you have, sometimes, and dare I say oftentimes, we need people who are going to love us, walk with us, pray with us, who are for us and be honest with us, to help us navigate what those things look like. I would have never got into coaching had I not listened to some people who were for me, that I trusted, who knew me, who had been walking with me, to say, hey, we think you really need to look at coaching. I played basketball my whole life. I loved it. It was my dream. Played college ball at Heston College my first 2 years at a junior college, then played out in Virginia. And when that was done, I wasn't good enough to play professionally, wasn't good enough to play overseas. I thought basketball was done for me. And then when the coaching position came open, I didn't apply for it. And I had some mentors and accountability, some ride or die friends that said, hey, we think this matches your gift set. And I said, well, I'm going to be a speaker. I want to coach. I'm going to be a speaker. And they said, no, I think this would actually tie right into speaking. I think this would be about all the things you're talking about. And so at 22, I was one of the 24, excuse me. I was one of the youngest, I think second youngest NJCA coaches hired in history. And so when I took that job, again, my heart was right. I wanted to walk and impact and disciple and encourage young men. But I didn't know how to do that quite yet. And so those same people were able to walk and grow with me, be honest with me. And that was special. So I would pose that question to you right now. Question one is, what is your why? Question two I would ask is, who are the accountability people in your life? Who are the people who can be real, raw, and transparent, who love you, but can be really honest with you, who can challenge you, and you accept that because you know they're for you? For me, there are several groups. I've got a men's prayer group that every Tuesday. There's not a story untold there. There's nothing, if you wrote the book of Dustin James Gaylon, there's nothing those guys don't know. And because of that transparency, because of that realness and vulnerability, man, we can get down in a lot of ways. And we get to some really great things in our lives. I've got a friend that's an AD just down the road at Friends University, who used to be my boss, my pastor, my dad. We've got the guy who married my wife and I is able to do that. And then ultimately my wife. And guys that I speak with, Bill and Rhett and Kelly Barnes, guys that I can really get in and be honest with. So I would ask you, who is the who in your life? Who's your ride or die people? How are they helping you identify your gifts and your strengths and saying, no, yes, keep going that direction. Yes, you're fantastic at that. Sometimes we need other people to inform us of the gifts and talents that we have. The other side of that is, just so you know, those same people can often help us navigate from maybe some avenues that we're being pulled to that maybe are not our gift set. I would tell you this, when I went to college, I was a pre-med major for a week. I wanted to be a doctor when I came to college, and you say, why? I would say, I want to help people. Well, a weekend, I had a mentor say, hey, you're a smart young man. I don't think you're going to be a doctor. And so I want you to know, I think your gift set lies XYZ, and I did a good thing and listened to him. So I think, James, to answer your question, how do we find that right now, the gifts, the talents? One, it's who we're with. The second one is how are you right now in your life? how are you taking the opportunities that you have or could have to go and try new things, to go and serve other people? You don't really know until you get in the thick of it. So especially at that 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, those high school, early college years, get involved. Go at it. I always tell people in the speaking world, when I give a keynote, am I worried about you being the best? Well, no, I'm not, because the reality is on every team, there's probably one player who's probably the best. There's probably one person in your class that probably has the highest ACT, highest GPA. You may be that person. That's awesome. I'm not worried if you are the best. I'm worried if you're bringing your best. And so when you bring your best to that activity, to that organization, to that group, man, you're going to find out a lot about yourself that I think will really help you navigate those gifts and talents. So bring your best, serve other people, surround yourself with others who are your ride and die group, who are going to be accountable to you, that you can be accountable to. But yeah, James, I think that's a huge part in finding your purpose right now.
Thank you so much for coming to talk to us today. It's super cool having somebody in the sports industry. So I was wondering, how can I find and work towards my personal goals during this time of crisis?
Yeah. So I want you to start to think about something wild. So I teach this to head coaches. When I go out and if you were the head coach, if you were like, I just put in like Dave Aranda as the new head coach at Baylor. He formerly was the defensive coordinator for the, LSU. I mean, it was like he was a championship. He throttled Clemson. I'm great friends with Dabo and all these guys, et cetera. And I like to teach head coaches this strategy on how to recruit. Okay? How would you win the home visit? And see, I really believe you and I, with our goals and dreams, okay, have to understand how to win interviews, how to win today, so that we can then all of a sudden be so far ahead of everybody else, okay? And so I want everybody to think of, these are the 4 things that people think about when you walk in and meet them. So if you knew these 4 things, okay, dang, it's like me telling you the test answer before the test. I mean, it's fantastic. And so this is a strategy that's so wild. And then I'm going to show you the opposite of what the world thinks of this strategy. So we have a whole strategy that I'm going to tell you is just wildly successful. And then I'm going to tell you what actually people are doing. It's crazy. So the first thing, and the reason this goes for your goals and dreams, I'll connect it all at the end on why, but follow this, because you're going to have, at some point, you're going to want something and you're going to need something. And everyone today, whether they need a loan, whether they need a reference, whether they have to do this, you're going to go to someone, because God created us in a position that you can't get this alone. We need people. And people are bridges to your goals and dreams. And so God gave you these people. That's why I wrote The Power of Who, the people who matter most. And everyone should read that book, because, it's like exploded again. I first wrote it in the initial downturn of 2008 and 9. And so now, then I wrote this. I'm writing a new book now in a pandemic. I'm writing a new book that's going to be wildly good. But okay, so here it is. 4 things. The first thing they think about when you walk in the room: do I know you? Okay, so why are you in my office? Who introduced you to get into my office? And so who that person is a big difference about it. So if I got in and your dad is my best friend and he introduces you, well, you're like gold, because he's a friend of mine and I trust him. So people who know someone, so, most people, they get a bunch of people to recommend them in. I'm doing a search one time for a basketball coach, and Coach K calls me to recommend somebody. And so he calls me and he says, hey, I really love this guy. You need to know this person. And then when he says his name, he mispronounces the guy's name. Well, so that can't be your best friend here. You can't know this guy. And so my only point is he's a fantastic human being, and he wanted to help this guy, but he didn't know him and he just felt needed. That's not the person you want to have introduce you. Now, it's good when Coach K does it, because he's one of the greatest coaches of all time. However, I need you to make sure, if you have one person who knows this person well and they already have a relationship, you have an 87% chance of getting the deal done. 87 versus 13. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm going for 87. So the factor is, what this stems to think about your goals and dreams is that there's a bunch of people who are going to be able to help you bridge your goal and dream. And to get there, you need an introduction. And so what you've been taught is that friends and business are taboo. So let me get this correct. We're supposed to work with a bunch of people we don't know and don't trust. No, that's stupid. No, we have to use it. So most people say, I can't ask my mom and dad. I can't use my uncle. This would be like, hey, I shouldn't do that. I should really do this on my own effort. Seriously? What are you, crazy? I mean, they're not trying to do your job. They're just doing an introduction. And the fact that you came from a heritage that was all of a sudden something good, that the person knew, that your dad, your mom was this fantastic person, your uncle, her brother, that would all be a great reference. And you need the intro. Okay? Do I know you? Here's number 2. These are really complex. Do I like you? Okay, so the second question is, do I like you? So if you walked into the meeting and you started to talk about the person who introduced you and you spend 5 minutes, usually interviews are over in 5 minutes. They've already made a decision. The people are quickly, cognitively coming to a point of how they think about you. And so if you talk about the other person, and so if you ever said, gosh, Bob Beaudine, Mr. Beaudine had like introduced me to you, you could probably make fun of me for a long time just because of how crazy I am on this webinar, little Zoom here, because they'd have fun. Oh yeah, he's such a goof. He's so positive. He's this. And so now he automatically starts to like you. You know what percentage you're at now? 94% versus 6. So what people do is they just send in their resumes. They do mass emails. They hand out business cards like they're mints to a bunch of people they don't know. You think that works? I mean, I get 52,000 resumes a year. Dear sir, to whom it may concern, dear recruiter. I've never placed somebody from a resume. Well, then they say, well, why do you ask for them? I don't. They come unsolicited. And so these people are fantastic people. They just don't know the hierarchy of thought. So, do I know you? Do I like you? Then guess what they do? They turn and they say, let's talk about my needs. And the next question is, do you understand my needs? So think about this. People who are out of jobs right now should be thinking about making a list of who they want to go to work for. They should be then and they make a list of 10 companies, 10 jobs. It doesn't matter where. And then they should think of the 10 people they would report to. It's all online. This is all known. Then they should go to their friends, the people they know. You can't go to a bunch of people you don't know. I mean, if you got in an accident today, you're not going to pull out a card from a business person you just met to call them to say, would you help me? I've been in an accident. No, you're going to call your mom and your dad. You're going to call your brother, your sister. You're going to call people you know. You're going to call your best friend. So it's crucial here that, hey, do I know you? Do I like you? And so when I'm in trouble, I've got to understand. Now we're going to get to understand the need. We get to now, I should have done a bunch of homework on this company. I should know everything about the person who's sitting across from me, because I'm not the who, they're the who. This is a big mistake. Again, you're talking about how I'm going to be a person who connects, serves, and loves, and it's not about you. You are the director of love. And when you talk about this, you are the person who knows and does this. And see, when people see people who are this selfless, they see people who are yes people, who make things happen. I mean, people always say, oh, I just don't have time to do that. Listen, time's our enemy, but timing is our best friend. Now, this is a paradox. Time is our enemy. Timing is our best friend. I mean, you got to let that really sink into your head. Time. This is I just don't have enough time. I can't get up and spend, I can't read your book 2 chairs. I just don't have time. Seriously? 5 minutes. 5 minutes in the presence of God changes all your best laid plans. What are you, crazy? I mean, so if there's a 1% chance that the guy who created the whole world would talk to you, would you go? Everybody says yes. And I say, where have you been? And then they say to me, hey, so what's he going to say to me? And I said, I didn't write 3 chairs. I wrote 2. It's just you and him. You got to go. So okay. Number 1, hey, do I know you? And if you didn't start there, you're all of a sudden behind. 3 is, do you understand my needs? And then last is, are you the best for me? This is where you get to shine a little bit, because the early in your career as high school and early college, what you are selling is personal qualities that transcend the technical. I'm selling you my energy. I'm selling you on my positivity. I'm selling you on the fact that I have come and have been on teams. I've already been in sports. I've already done things that I understand. I help in charities. This is who I am. I like to serve. I like to solve people's problems. I'm a person who, if you give me something, I'm going to work hard at it. And listen, I got lots of time. I'm willing. And so what do you do with people like that? People who connect, serve, and love? I don't know. I hire them. They get promoted. They're the last person who get furloughed in this process. And so, in the hierarchy of thought. So here's the way this other works now. And so I want you to understand, if talent was the reason everyone got jobs, if that was the reason, and a lot of people think that talent, listen, I got to do this based on my talent. If talent was the reason everyone got the job, how would we have Congress and Senate? I mean, I'm just telling you, this is crazy. No, you got to have some who here. You've got to be a person who makes this happen. So here's the way the world works. They don't work on the hierarchy of thought. Do I know you? Do I like you? Do you understand my needs and are you best? They flip it. They do it the other way. And so what you do is you come in and say, I'm the best. And that's what sometimes coaches do. And so haven't you seen me on LinkedIn? I sent you my resume. Didn't you read it? No, I didn't. I got 52,000 other ones, so I didn't read that either. I don't know you. And they go, hey, well, so-and-so said something to me. I saw on your list of LinkedIn people that so-and-so is one of your friends. What are you talking about? I do positive stuff every single day on LinkedIn. I got tons of people liking me and this. I don't know them. But it wouldn't take someone to say that you wouldn't take you 10 minutes to do research to find out someone who knows me. And then you start with people who are known. This world we live in is kind of scary now a little bit in some of that area. And so you start out this. So they come out and say, I'm the best. Well, you wrote your resume. How would I know that? I'd rather have, it's never good to toot your own horn. It's always good for somebody else to sell how great you are. And so the second thing they say is, listen, I understand your needs. Now, any woman would tell you, your mom, your sisters, anybody who's online who's female will immediately tell you that, does a woman let a man understand her needs if she didn't know them? Come on. You don't understand my needs. I mean, I just met you. What's my wife's name and have you been to my house for a barbecue? This is crazy. I mean, people like to make this out to be like I could just send my resume and I'm waiting like Bob Barker is going to call me and say, come on down and Price is Right. He's retired. He's not calling. This is crazy. So what I suggest is that you take a different viewpoint, because after they say, hey, listen, I'm the best and I understand your needs, they roll in, you're going to like me, and then at some point you're going to get to know me. You think that works? No. So the first thing is, if you want your goals and dreams, here's what Zig Ziglar said about that. If you want your dreams to come true, you have to make other people's dreams come true. Now, one of my best friends is Tom Ziglar. I mean, we have lunch. We talk all the time. I talked to him yesterday. We just sit and inspire each other. I mean, we don't talk about a lot of fluff sometimes. We're like in this, and then I say, hey, so what are you thinking about today? And he goes, I'm creating a new little book. Get out of here. You just wrote another little book? Oh yeah, I'm thinking today on people don't understand how to do Zoom, and they're not really creating relationships. So I'm trying to talk to you like you're all right next to me. And of course, you feel it, because the energy that we can have, it doesn't matter. It goes right through wherever technology we have, if you're really genuine and you really care. So you got to care about people, and people know that. They can think, if you want something so bad, what you're going to do is you're going to start doing mortar attacks and sending out everybody who doesn't know everybody, and they're going to try to do it. That's really annoying. Or you're going to want something so bad. And listen, here's what you always want to remember, that dogs and dates and prospective bosses all can smell that. And they ain't going to give it to you. It's just not good. And so you never want to be a person. You want to be a person who carries them and has plans, and they've written it down, and they're talking to God. They know where they're going. They're doing something to help people. And listen, you can't put a light under this bushel. It's going to burn right through that, and everyone's going to know who you are. I'll find you. You cannot actually have to worry about that. You do one thing better than anybody in the world. And I need you to have the type of friends who inspire you to that thought. I mean, I have 3 girls and they're all different. And you know, one of my daughters went to Baylor and then did that for a little bit and wasn't totally on it. And then my middle daughter went to Mizzou and she then got her master's at SMU. And then my other one's a Tiger and she was doing a bunch of stuff with Circuit of America. All 3 of my girls are. I just spent time seeding them about how great they were, no matter what, because you're going to go through ups and downs. And we need somebody, a grandpa, to kind of come in and remind you, no, you're okay. No, you're fantastic. Don't let anyone fool you. No, you're unbelievable. That's not true. I mean, who's talking to you? Every single day we hear this little message, which you got to turn off that negative self-talk. All this stuff, you got to turn it on. You got to start filling your mind with who you are and whose you are in the path. And so my oldest daughter's an Instagram influencer, and she has 300,000 people who follow her every single day, and she's just awesome. She sings, she does this, she has all these things. She loves to help people. She does it. My middle daughter's a teacher in Frisco, Texas, and she does, you know, she just kills it. She's the, you know, she does all of the photography and the broadcast journal, and she does the yearbook, and she's a photographer on the side. My youngest is now in real estate and does it all, and all of them finally are like off dad's thing, and they do really well, and they're all successful. But it's not like I didn't know that was going to be the day, right? And I can tell you with great confidence, and I do this for a living, I've done search for 40 years, is that each of you are going to be ridiculous. You can't even be listening today if all of a sudden you didn't have a future and a hope and prosperous and unbelievable growth.